Welcome to our channel History of Coins, where we explore the hidden gems of numismatics. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of rare 1-cent coins, because some of these coins are rare among collectors and are worth millions. So today, we are gonna uncover the rarest coins and their values. So make sure to watch the complete video and find out if you have one of these. Now let's continue our today's video. Top 1 today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of one of America's most iconic coins, the 1963 Lincoln penny. You might think pennies are just everyday change, but hold on to your seats, because this particular Lincoln penny can be worth way more than you'd ever imagine. If you're a coin lover or just curious about rare treasures, you're in for a treat. So, listen closely, and let's explore what makes the 1963 Lincoln penny so special and why some versions of this humble coin could be worth a staggering $81,000. The Lincoln penny. First minted in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, is one of the most recognizable coins in American history. The 1963 edition came during a time when the United States was navigating through significant social and economic changes, with the civil rights movement gaining momentum and the country on the cusp of a new era. But what sets the 1963 Lincoln penny apart from the millions minted in that year? It's all about rarity, condition, and those fascinating minting errors that make collectors go wild. Now, millions of Lincoln pennies were produced in 1963, but here's the catch: not all pennies are created equal. The vast majority you'll find out there have been through the ringer, worn edges, faded details, and years of handling. But among those countless coins, a rare few have survived in near-perfect, uncirculated condition. These pristine pennies look as if they just came fresh off the minting press decades ago. That alone can boost a coin's value exponentially. But wait, it gets even more interesting. Some 1963 Lincoln pennies have what collectors call double-die errors. This means that during the minting process, the coin was struck more than once in a way that created a doubling effect on the letters or numbers, making the details look slightly shadowed or blurred. These error coins are like nature's misprints, mistakes that turn ordinary coins into extraordinary treasures. The double-die error on the 1963 Lincoln penny is incredibly sought after because it's rare and strikingly unique. For coin enthusiasts, owning one is like having a piece of history with a secret story stamped right onto its surface. Another fascinating feature that can drive up the value of the 1963 Lincoln penny is the off-center strike error. This happens when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned during the strike, causing the design to be shifted away from the center. Off-center coins showcase unusual and dramatic visuals that collectors love, and the more pronounced the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Collectors also keep an eye out for coins with double dates or mint marks, which occur when the date or mint mark is struck twice in slightly different positions. These subtle differences are like hidden gems for numismatists and can send a coin's price soaring. Of course, condition is everything when it comes to coin collecting. A 1963 Lincoln penny with these rare errors, preserved in flawless condition, can command prices beyond what most people would ever expect. The combination of historical significance, minting quirks, and superb condition make these pennies extremely desirable in the collector's market. So, what does all this mean in terms of value? Well, if you happen to find a 1963 Lincoln penny in mint condition with one of these rare errors, your treasure could be worth an astonishing $81,000. Yes, you heard that right, $81,000 for a single penny. It's a stunning reminder that sometimes, the smallest things can hold the greatest value. If you're sitting on a jar of old pennies, or if you find a 1963 Lincoln penny that looks unusually sharp or has strange markings, make sure to have it examined by a professional coin grader. It could be one of those rare gems that collectors would pay a fortune for. Top 2, we're zooming in on an American classic, the 1964 Lincoln penny. You might think of pennies as everyday pocket change, but this particular Lincoln penny holds a secret. If you listen closely, you'll discover why some of these coins are among the most sought after by collectors and can be worth an incredible $80,000. So, grab your magnifying glass, settle in, and get ready to explore the hidden world of the 1964 Lincoln penny. The Lincoln penny has a rich history dating all the way back to 1909, when it was first minted to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. Over the decades, this humble coin has seen countless hands and countless stories, making it one of the most iconic pieces of American currency. But the 1964 Lincoln penny stands out from the crowd for several very intriguing reasons that any serious collector will want to know. First off, 1964 was a pivotal year in American history, full of cultural shifts and economic changes. But what makes the 1964 Lincoln penny fascinating is not just the year it was made, but the rare mistakes and minting variations that happened during its production. Mistakes that make certain coins incredibly valuable. Millions of 1964 Lincoln pennies were minted, so how could one be worth so much? The key lies in rarity and condition. Most pennies from this year were used heavily and show their age with worn surfaces and faded details. However, some pennies from 1964 have been preserved in near-perfect, uncirculated condition, looking almost like they just came off the minting press yesterday. These flawless coins are the holy grail for collectors and can fetch impressive sums at auction. But it's not just condition that matters. Certain error coins from 1964 are especially prized. One of the most famous errors is the double die variety. This occurs when the coin's design is struck twice with slight misalignment, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled or shadowed. Imagine the coin's date or the word Liberty showing a ghost-like double image. This rare minting error is a treasure hunt for collectors and can push the value of a coin through the roof. Another fascinating error you might come across is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank coin isn't perfectly aligned during stamping, resulting in a design that's shifted away from the center. Off-center strikes can vary in severity, but the more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin. These visually striking pennies are prized because each one is truly unique. Some 1964 Lincoln pennies also feature double dates or mint marks, subtle but important variations that add another layer of rarity. Coins with these quirks are like numismatic unicorns. They don't come around often and are highly sought after. Condition is the icing on the cake. A 1964 Lincoln penny with one of these rare errors, preserved in mint condition, is an absolute prize for collectors. It's a piece of American history with a story told through its unique imperfections and remarkable preservation. Now, here's the exciting part. If you happen to have a 1964 Lincoln penny in pristine condition featuring one of these rare errors, you could be holding a coin valued at an astounding $80,000. That's right, $80,000 for a single penny. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest, most ordinary objects can hide incredible value, that if you find yourself sifting through old coin collections or jars of change, keep a close eye out for these special pennies. A careful inspection might just uncover a valuable gem you never expected. Top 3, we're diving into the intriguing world of one of America's most beloved coins, the 1966 Lincoln penny. You may think of pennies as everyday change, but this particular Lincoln penny has captured the attention of collectors worldwide. If you love rare coins, minting errors, and pieces of history, then listen carefully, because the story behind the 1966 Lincoln penny is as fascinating as the value it holds. Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll discover why some versions of this small coin could be worth an astonishing $78,000. The Lincoln penny has been an American staple since 1909, a tribute to the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. The 1966 penny, minted during a decade of social change and transformation in America, carries its own unique significance. But what makes the 1966 Lincoln penny stand out among millions minted that year? The answer lies in its rarity, condition, and a handful of very special minting errors that have turned some of these pennies into true collector's treasures. In 1966, the United States Mint produced millions of pennies, but not all were created equally. While most circulated freely and ended up worn and faded, a select few survived in exceptional condition, almost as if they were frozen in time. These uncirculated pennies, with their sharp details and bright surfaces, are a rarity in themselves. But there's more to the story. Some 1966 Lincoln pennies carry rare minting errors that make them even more valuable. One of the most famous among collectors is the double die error. This fascinating anomaly occurs during the minting process when the coin is struck twice in slightly different positions, creating a doubled or shadowed effect on certain parts of the design, often visible on the date or lettering. These double-die pennies from 1966 are incredibly sought after because each error is unique and tells a story of an imperfect process that ended up producing a highly collectible coin. Another captivating error you might find is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. These off-center coins range from subtle misalignments to dramatic shifts where parts of the design are missing entirely. The more extreme the off-center strike, the rarer the coin and the higher its value. These unusual coins are like no two alike, making them a thrilling find for collectors who crave one-of-a-kind pieces. Collectors also watch out for double dates or mint mark errors, subtle variations that can push a coin's worth significantly higher. Such anomalies are prized because they're rare and represent moments when something went a little off during the minting process, turning an ordinary coin into a numismatic treasure. Of course, condition plays a critical role in value. Even a coin with these remarkable errors won't reach its highest potential without being well preserved. A flawless 1966 Lincoln penny with an error in pristine, uncirculated condition is a prized possession. It's a perfect blend of history, rarity, and artistry, preserved for decades and ready to captivate collectors worldwide. So, what does all of this mean in terms of value? If you have a 1966 Lincoln penny in superb condition featuring one of these rare mint errors, you could be looking at a coin worth an incredible $78,000. Yes, $78,000 for a single penny. It's a staggering figure, but it perfectly illustrates how something so small and common can transform into a remarkable and valuable treasure. If you ever stumble upon a 1966 Lincoln penny that looks unusually sharp or has any odd markings or features, it's worth getting it professionally evaluated. You might just be holding a piece of numismatic history with extraordinary value. We're taking a close look at a classic piece of American history, the 1967 Lincoln penny. Now, you might think a penny is just a penny, but stick around because this particular year's coin has some incredible secrets that make it a prized possession for collectors. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just curious about coins, you're going to want to listen carefully and enjoy the ride. By the end of this video, you'll learn why some 1967 Lincoln pennies can be worth an eye-popping $77,000. The Lincoln penny is a true icon of American currency, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Fast forward to 1967, a time when the country was going through huge cultural shifts and historic moments. But while the world was changing, the Lincoln penny quietly kept its place in our wallets, often overlooked, but never forgotten. What makes the 1967 penny so intriguing, though, is not just the history, but the rarity and unique minting errors that elevate its value to staggering heights. Millions of 1967 Lincoln pennies were produced, so what makes certain ones stand out? First, condition is king. Many pennies from that year show signs of wear and heavy circulation, but a small fraction have survived in nearly perfect, uncirculated condition. These coins look as sharp and shiny as the day they were minted, with all details crisp and clear. For collectors, such pristine pennies are rare finds, making them highly sought after. But the story gets even better. Some 1967 Lincoln pennies feature fascinating minting errors that collectors absolutely love. One of the most famous errors is the double die. This occurs when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice, slightly misaligned, creating a doubled or shadow effect on letters or numbers. On a 1967 penny, you might see doubling on the date or the word Liberty. This double die effect turns an ordinary penny into a numismatic marvel, sought after by collectors worldwide for its rarity and distinct appearance. Another incredible mint error to watch for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank slips out of alignment during minting, resulting in a coin whose design is shifted to one side. These off-center pennies can range from slight misalignments to dramatic strikes where a large part of the design is missing. The more extreme the off-center, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, making each one a unique piece of minting history. Some 1967 pennies also display double dates or mint marks, subtle but important errors that add another layer of value. These variations are prized because they represent a rare mistake in an otherwise precise minting process. Condition still matters the most. A 1967 Lincoln penny with one of these errors, preserved in mint condition, is a real treasure. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of history, art, and rarity all rolled into one. So, what does this mean in terms of value? If you're lucky enough to have a 1967 Lincoln penny in pristine condition, featuring one of these rare mint errors, your coin could be worth an astonishing $77,000. Yes, $77,000 for a single penny. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the smallest and most overlooked objects can hold incredible worth. If you ever find a 1967 penny that looks unusually sharp, has strange markings, or appears off-center, don't just toss it aside. Have it examined by a professional. You might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Top 5. We're going to shine a spotlight on a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, the 1970 Lincoln penny. But trust me, this little piece of copper holds some incredible secrets that have collectors buzzing. So, sit tight and listen closely, because the 1970 Lincoln penny might just be one of the most surprising coins in your collection, potentially worth a jaw-dropping $75,000. The Lincoln penny is an enduring symbol of American history, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's legacy. Fast forward to 1970, a year marked by social change and upheaval across the United States. While history was being made, the Lincoln penny quietly continued its journey through countless pockets and cash registers. But hidden among millions of those pennies are rare versions that stand out for their rarity, unique minting quirks, and extraordinary condition. Millions of 1970 pennies were minted, so how can one be worth so much? The answer lies in a combination of factors: rarity, condition, and fascinating minting errors that make certain coins incredibly valuable to collectors. Condition is always critical when it comes to coin collecting. Most pennies you find from 1970 have been circulated extensively, edges worn down, surfaces scratched, and details faded. However, a rare few have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. These coins look as fresh and brilliant as the day they left the mint. For collectors, finding a 1970 Lincoln penny in such flawless condition is like striking gold, and it can greatly boost the coin's value. But the real magic comes from the minting errors found on some 1970 Lincoln pennies. One of the most sought-after mistakes is the famous double die error. This happens when the coin's design is accidentally stamped twice, creating a shadow or doubling effect on certain letters or numbers. On a 1970 penny, you might notice doubling on the date or the word Liberty. These error coins are incredibly rare and highly prized because they reveal a fascinating glimpse into the minting process's imperfections. Another eye-catching error you might encounter is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank shifts slightly during the striking process, causing the design to be off-center. The result? A visually striking penny where part of the design appears to be missing or shifted dramatically. The more pronounced the off-center strike, the more valuable and collectible the coin becomes. There are also double date errors and unusual mint marks from 1970 that can increase a coin's rarity and value. These subtle differences are what make the world of coin collecting so thrilling. A small variation can turn an everyday penny into a prized treasure. But none of this would mean much without the coin's condition. A 1970 Lincoln penny with any of these rare errors, preserved in near-perfect condition, becomes a numismatic gem, one that history and collectors alike will cherish. So, here's the exciting reveal. A 1970 Lincoln penny in flawless condition with one of these rare mint errors could be worth an astonishing $75,000. Yes, $75,000 for a single penny. This incredible value shows that sometimes the smallest coins can hold the biggest surprises. If you ever come across a 1970 Lincoln penny that looks unusually sharp, shows doubled letters or numbers, or seems off-center, be sure to get it checked by a professional. You might just be holding a valuable piece of American history that could transform your collection and your life. Thank you so much for joining me today on this deep dive into the fascinating world of the 1970 Lincoln penny. If you enjoyed this video and want to uncover more rare coin stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an exciting treasure hunt. Until next time, happy collecting, and may your coins always surprise you with their stories and their worth.